Hello and welcome to the programme. The police say they're studying the contents of a BBC documentary which uncovered how young Asian women are being recruited to work in the sex trade in Belfast. The Radio Ulster investigation examined the new human trafficking laws here. Mark Simpson reports.
This is the Chinese newspaper ad used to recruit sex workers to Belfast. It translates as wanted masseuse, located in Ireland, a long-term position for a girl who can give massages. But a lot more was expected than that, as an undercover BBC reporter called Vivian found out when she replied to the ad. She was told to fly to Belfast. When she arrived, she was met by a woman called Lisa, who was running a brothel here. Their conversation was secretly recorded.
是 Lisa 是吗？哦，你好，你好，你好，你好，走吧，现在就走。对对。哦，我今天晚上就要开始。就是70磅，就是半个小时的一半一半咯，60也是一样的，反正钱最重要嘛。
Moments later, one of the documentary team approached Lisa.
Lisa, my name's Andy Pagg. I'm from the BBC. You run brothels in Belfast here, don't you?
No, you're wrong number.
No, it's not the wrong number, Lisa. How long have you been doing this in Belfast?
No, sorry. I'm not a bad woman. You know me, I'm a very nice woman. I'm no liar, everybody.
The documentary raised questions about what the authorities are doing to stop women being exploited. As for the police, no one was available for interview today. But in a statement they said detectives are studying the contents of the BBC programme. In recent years, the police have raided a number of brothels. Often women have been working in the sex trade to pay off debts to people smugglers who've helped them get into the UK. So what's being done to stop it happening?
Well, there's work being done led by the PSNI, obviously, but in order to get the full UK-wide reach, the international reach, we need the support of the National Crime Agency, and I'm pleased to say that we'll be getting that shortly.
The DUP say forthcoming new laws criminalising paying for sex will help too.
This bill, the portion of it in relation to the purchase of sexual services, will be enforced come June of this year, and anyone who's engaged in this sort of activity will in fact be breaking the law, and they need to be aware of that.
But what the BBC documentary showed was that stopping the shadowy sex trade in Belfast will not be easy. Mark Simpson, BBC Newsline.
Well, I'm joined now by reporter Andy Pagg, who's on the documentary team. And Andy, what do we know about the women who worked in this brothel?
Well, I spoke to a woman called Lynn, who I believe used to work in one of the brothels, and her story has really challenged my thinking on what is and isn't trafficking. To give you a bit of background, when she first arrived in the UK, she owed about £50,000 to the people that smuggled her here. Now, she had a number of jobs, all very low paid, less than the minimum wage, some as low as £3.50 an hour, and she did that for about a year before deciding the best available option to her was to turn to the sex trade. And it's at that point that she followed an advert similar to the one that I found in the paper here that brought her to Belfast working for a brothel here. Now, she worked there for a little while until she was actually assaulted by one of the clients of the brothel, and that's an occupational hazard for undocumented migrant sex workers because the perpetrators know that the women can't turn to the police. So she left that, and she actually now currently works independently selling sex from a terraced house in South Belfast, and she thinks there's probably about 4 or 5 other Chinese women in the city doing the same thing. But what's really interesting about her story is that when she came here, she had no idea and no expectation that she'd be selling sex. But despite everything that's happened to her, she doesn't actually regret the decision to have come to the UK.
So the police are investigating. Do they think it's trafficking?
Well, the police have said they have continuing inquiries. Now, people will have different opinions on whether the label of trafficking is appropriate here. If we take Lynn's case, for example, to decide whether or not she's a victim of trafficking, you have to really think about whether she's been coerced. Now, if she'd been locked in a room, that would be a pretty easy case to make. The fact that she is under this financial pressure, this financial coercion, makes it all a bit more of a grey area. Lisa, on the other hand, well, she may well have broken the new trafficking laws that came into effect at the start of the year, and they carry a prison sentence of between 2 years and life. And the Department of Justice, they told me that recruiting for exploitation can breach the law, even if the victim knowingly agrees to be exploited.
OK, Andy, for now, thanks very much.